Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to take a minute and learn how to wire your neon sign transformer. You've made your awesome cord. You've got a hopeful NST because at this point you don't even know if it works yet. So we're going to talk about how to make the main power connections on a neon sign transformer. All right, so as we learned before, you've got 5 terminals on a typical NST. We're going to be dealing with 3 of them today because this is all about how to get power into this. So what you need to know is you've got your primary terminals here and your ground terminal here, and these are all going to be quarter 20 hardware. There are exceptions, but overwhelmingly you're going to be working with quarter 20 hardware, which means you're going to need a nut driver in the size of 7/16. It's also handy to have some extra quarter 20 nuts. Do not use the crappy galvanized coated ones. Just get regular quarter 20 nuts and you'll be fine. As you're dealing with various bits of hardware, like you go to the big box store and get stuff, it'll be really easy to tell the difference between galvanized and just the regular ones. The galvanized ones are going to be a very dull gray and they're going to look dirty. Like just even when they're brand new, they still look dirty. These have a zinc coating on them. You don't want that. You don't need that. You don't want that. If you want to be fancy and get the stainless steel ones, they'll work just fine. Just make sure they fit. For everything we're doing here, quarter 20. You can buy a whole box of little quarter 20 hex nuts and even washers to fit them for just a few bucks. They're not terribly expensive. Now, this particular transformer is missing a nut for the ground. You can see there's a nut here, but that's the built-in one. If there's only one nut on there, that's not enough. That's the nut that holds the terminal onto the case. So we can just buy a couple and add them on there. I've got 2 here. I'm gonna put one on and just tighten it down a little bit. So the other terminals, if you look close, you can see that there's a lot going on there. There's all kinds of extra bits and pieces, and I'm gonna break this down for you so you can get a really good look at it. So we've got our outer nuts here, which we're gonna take off. And then there's an inner nut and a stack of stuff. There's a lock washer and a little protective washer, and sometimes you'll see a soft gasket in there. Leave those where they are. You should have a little stack of things before you get into the actual insulator. And with just gentle pressure, don't reef on these, it's good to make sure those are snug down. If you can take them off easy, they're too loose. With the ground, you can tighten that one down pretty tight. But these, if they're too tight, you'll crush the insulator. And it's very easy with any kind of bolting mechanical connection to crush delicate ceramic insulators. So be careful with that. All right, so we've got our stacks together. Now on here, we're gonna I always put my black on the bottom one, unless you're doing something funny with phasing and whatnot. I put my black on the bottom for no other reason than it's a tiny bit safer than if it was on the top. Put these on by hand and just tighten that down finger tight. You want to have it going pretty much straight off the side. And then once it's finger tight, just give this a little oomph. You won't even get a quarter turn out of it. This is not a high power mounting system. Then we'll do the neutral up on top. Same thing, just run the nut down by hand. Have these flagged out 90 degrees off and tighten it. Okay, and then we'll do our ground. That just pops right on there. Okay, and that's where all your connections go, and they're color coded and they're just pristine and perfect and good. That is what you should have, those 3 connections. So as we look down the side of our transformer, we've got neutral on top, hot in the middle, ground on the bottom, and that's just my standard way of doing it. It does not matter which is hot here. I put hot on the bottom because if you're working around stuff and somebody happens to brush against something, if it's hot, they're gonna get blasted by this. But if you just have a little bit running through a variac or something goes wrong, because you don't plan for how to build stuff when everything goes right. Plan for when stupid happens, because stupid happens all the time. So I tuck hot down out of the way because these are all exposed danger terminals. But at that point, you're wired up, it's ready to go. And now we'll show you what to do with it in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching and hanging out. And as always, I'll see you next time.